What is your I was trying to be cool but it backfired story? 4th grade at recess, there was this girl Madison who I, and every other guy, had a crush on. The school just built these new monkey bars, which in my mind was the perfect time to show off my skills to Madison. People were jumping from the platform to the 3rd bar and I was like PFFFF it'll jump farther. I called out to her, "Hey Madison, watch this," which in turn made everyone else look. I aimed for the 4th monkey bar, made my jump, missed the bar through my fingertips, and came crashing down face first into the mulch. I cried and ran away. I actually moved away that summer to a new state and a new school cause of my dad's job. So everything worked out. Cause of dad's job, sure. In high school, I had a crooked and uneven hairline, so I shaved and shaped my front hairline into a nice and even V shape instead. Looking back at pictures now, that V-shaped hairline looks so unnatural and makes me look like a vampire. Hosted my first house party. Drink was flowing. I was convinced I was as cool as liquid nitrogen. A girl I invited and had hopeful designs on mentioned she wanted a drink, and trying to be the overly cool gracious host I leapt out to the patio to get it from the cooler. Helpful friend had closed the patio door in the meanwhile. I spammed Fassa first into it at high speed, so hard it reverberated like jelly, in front of literally everyone. I saw stars and bled a bit from my lip. Amazing quick thinking bro who was there shouted overly loudly through his laughter. I never thought you would do it and surely gave me a $5. Saved my ass from absolute embarrassment. The girl was very kind in not mentioning it beyond checking how my concussion was. Look before you leap folks. That's a wingman. Truly some gold leader crap. A college phys ed instructor asked me if I could help him out on day 1 of a trampoline class he was teaching. I was a diver and had a lot of trampoline experience. He just needed me to demonstrate all the basics they'd be learning during the semester. After I had done that, he asked me if I wanted to show off a little before I got off. I was delighted to, because more than half the class was hot girls. I had a few tricks that I knew would impress them, and started out with a back double somersault. Nailed it, but when I landed I farted. Everyone had been silent, so there was no doubt what happened. A few giggles. I did another trick or two, then scooted out of there. That happened to me in a judo class. 10 girls, 2 guys, in college. My exam was to break free from a hold laying on my back. The guy doing the hold was a total beast and squished me down like heck. As I struggled, I farted like a giant whoopee cushion being trampled by elephants. I thought I would really wow the class by bringing in my harmonica for show and tell. Kids would bring in their teddy bears, or some toy, but not me. I was going to perform. I told my mom about my idea and she was all about it. I'd show off my harmonica, and then play a few songs. Mom and I played guess the song all the time, so surely it would be a hit. And so I got up in front of the class. "This is my harmonica. Who wants to guess the song?" Everyone leaned in. This was my big moment. Man, I blew into the thing until I was blue in the face. I freaking John Poppered all those kids. Stunned silence. Nobody could guess the song. Humiliated. I told them it was Old MacDonald and went and sat down. Yep, I didn't know how to play harmonica. Mom just knew I always said I was playing Old MacDonald, so she could always guess what I was playing. Yep, your mom trolled you hard. My dad bought a new AMG Mercedes. I took it to run an errand. So, I'm walking out of the supermarket and some girls are checking out the car. I wanted to hit the remote ignition and be all James Bond like. Instead I opened the trunk. I looked even more stupid when I put a loaf of bread in the trunk. This is great. Rather than admit that you hit the wrong button, you proceed to put a loaf of bread in the trunk. I think you'd have been better off just saying new car, shrugging, and then doing donuts for several minutes until the police arrive. My sister and I had just seen The Matrix, so I tried to jump up the walls of a tight hallway. I kicked a hole in the wall instead. That's even cooler. Asked a friend to tell everyone I saved him from a burning building. He instead told everyone I was gay. I am not gay. Frick you, Robbie. Met this gorgeous girl one time and asked for her phone number. She reached into her purse to grab a pen and paper to write it down, before cell phones. And I said no, I'll remember it. And I did. For about an hour. Then it was gone forever. This is making me angry. Was standing in the water talking to a cute guy and tried to smoothly tilt my head back in the water to wet my hair and get it out of my face. At that moment a huge wave comes out of nowhere, hitting me in the face and causing me to get water up my nose, have a coughing fit, and drop my beer in the water. I hope the beer was okay. It was 11th grade. I had a huge crush on this girl that also had an interest in me. We were in PE and were walking to the track outside to run the mile. There was a fence that I thought I could jump over, so, naturally, I thought that I should try and show off. The fence caught onto my shoe, tripping me midair, which led to me sliding down a small gravel hill on my butt. The rest of class was spent running while blood dripped out of my shorts and down my legs from my ass wound. Still have that scar on my ass. I was in the 3rd grade. Had a huge crush on one of the girls in my class, and one day after school she hung around while we were both waiting for our parents. We were on the swings and I was always able to swing forward with enough momentum to lean back and do like a backflip, whatever you call it, out of the swing. Thought this would impress her, so I went for it. As I leaned back while swinging forward to do the flip, something got caught. I didn't flip out of it as intended, and as the swing came back down, my face caught the ground. Scraped it up pretty bad. She laughed at me while I was holding back tears because I was a 3rd grader. Running ninja style, that one kid from your high school. I started doing it ironically and now I can't stop. Help. I got with the hottest guy in my grad program. He'd played football for Stanford, had a godly body, and was just plain gorgeous. He was also stylish as heck, smart, and down to earth. And he was black. After we had sex, we were chilling at his place and talking. He was telling me about how he was adopted, and he said something about how his parents, adoptive parents, were freaked out when they adopted him. And then I let loose this masterpiece of racism and idiocy. Oh, in case you were a crack baby? Holy crap, dude. That's like Always Sunny levels of self-awareness, or lack thereof. While heading out to the pub after prees, I decided to look a bit cool and jump down the last 4 steps of the stairs. I landed and my knee cracked like crazy. After 8 weeks of doctor's appointments and physio, I found out I had ruptured my ACL. So I'm having surgery for it in August, half a year after it happened. And I miss out a year of proper sports and exercise. Easily the second I regret the most in my life. Well, on the first date I went on, I was coming out of the ice cream shop and missed the step. Ended up lying face down on my ice cream cone with 2 skinned knees, and I tore my dress. Super smooth move. I was in 4th grade and I liked this girl. For whatever reason I thought it would be cool if flung a dum-dum lollipop around my mouth with my tongue. So I made these neurotic flailing motions with my tongue to jam the lollipop around. It was so cool until I choked on the dang thing. I swallowed it and the teacher had to jam his hand in my mouth, pull it out by the stick. Let's just say she didn't think I was very cool. Now that I think of it though, that hurts a little because I nearly killed myself with a lollipop trying to impress her. Raro. Tried to hit on a girl at a gas station, got her number, then drove away with the pump still in my tank. So simple and yet so devastating. First time I smoked pot, I was 15, at a party trying to bum a cigarette, when I got chatting to these 2 hot girls. This guy from my class came over, and he was smoking a joint. I asked him if he had a cigarette. He said no, but passed me his joint. I'd never smoked pot before, and to counter my nerves I was overconfident and took a massive drag. Crap went straight to my head. I started coughing and spluttering all over these 2 girls. I think I might have been a little bit sick too, and one of my friends had to dive in and rescue me. I had to sit down and drink water for like 20 minutes to recover. Bruh, how you get so hard? Back in college, I was trying to flirt with a friend of my brother. She had posted a lyric from the Jars of Clay song, Dead Man, as her Facebook status. Trying to be edgy and clever, I replied with an adapted lyric from the same song. I'm looking at your body through a new spy satellite. Yeah, she didn't recognize that lyric. She called my brother in a panic, asking if I was stalking her or something. When I was in grade 6 I think, we were heading out for recess. I was a bit late, so it was just me and one other kid chatting on the way out. I noticed the door swinging shut as someone just went through, and I thought it'd be funny to pretend to not be paying attention and run into it, using a trick I had of throwing up my hands quickly to make a loud thud while protecting my face. I was a pro info running into walls, except I mistimed it and smashed my face into a reinforced glass window, taking a good sized chunk out of my 2 front teeth. That really hurt, and have capped teeth on the front ever since. Middle school, smoking for the first time in a cemetery with a bunch of older kids. Tried to pitch the cigarette butt with my thumb and middle finger. Something happened and it instead flew backwards into the sleeve of my Adidas jacket. Rando the cemetery trying to get my jacket off. Reminds me of the first time I smoked weed and didn't know what a carb was. They people who smoked me out kept trying to tell me that I was supposed to plug up that hole on the side of the bowl, but I just wasn't getting it. I didn't even get high, but I pretended I did. It was my last week of college, and my apartments were having an end of the year pool party. I was partly there for a break from studying, but mostly to hang out with the ridiculously hot international students that lived in the complex. So, when a game of frisbee was starting, I, a decidedly not sporty, awkward girl, strolled over all confident and asked to join. One of the guys throws me the frisbee, and miraculously I catch it, but I get a little too enthusiastic throwing it back. I can still see that frisbee sailing over the fence enclosing the pool, flipping vertical in midair, and coming down hard on the sidewalk. The frisbee shards went flying and I just stood there in shock. I gave up in that moment, knowing there was no saving me, and went back to floating in the pool, drinking away the embarrassment. I feel your pain. Countless years of gym class and the only time I managed to get a ball in the basketball net was during volleyball. I'm wearing a kilt to high school prom tomorrow. Will update with whatever willy ups occur. Save some pee for us, dude. Decided to buy a sports car, picked out a red Porsche. Test driving the car, I was stopped at a stoplight, and a bunch of people were waiting to cross the street. I had the top down, and was winking at the girls in the group. Light turns green. I put it in gear to go, and stalled it. They started laughing, and my brain shut off and I couldn't remember how to start a manual. Had to wave the cars behind me around, get it started, and drive off and get caught at the next red light a couple blocks away. Same group of people. I was smiling pretty big trying to pretend like I wasn't embarrassed. After all, I was in my mid-20s in a new Porsche, but then it happened a second time. Decided maybe a Porsche wasn't for me. The boy I liked stole my hair ribbon, and so I pushed him into a desk. He fell over backwards and the desk toppled, and so did like 3 tertiary desks. I was horrified because I just wanted to show him I was cool and couldn't be messed with or whatever, but obviously pushing him into a desk was an overreaction and it was not my intent to make him fall over. I apologized so many times until he got annoyed and called me a B. I was still into him for like 4 years after that. I love your username. In 6th grade I did something similar to a classmate during gym. I was jokingly pretending to hit him on the head with my badminton racket while he was bent over, but I accidentally smacked him pretty hard on the head. I felt really bad and ratted myself out to the teacher immediately so I wouldn't get in trouble. Man, I've been waiting for this one for a while. To set the stage, I was in a college class where we sat at tables and worked in groups a lot. So I was pretty comfortable with the dude and 2 girls I sat with. One of the girls, who I hadn't had a class with before, usually sat with me at the dining hall, which most people call the D hall. After tests, as it was the only day she got out early enough to eat lunch. All were sitting there before the test, all of us shooting the crap and whatnot, and I decide to ask her about lunch. Hey X, wanna go to the D hall with me after class? Innocent enough, right? Except I had recently seen the "that's where you're on kiddo" meme with the finger guns, so I thought it'd be cool funny to throw some finger guns in there too. Turns out when you ask a girl to go to the D hall and pop finger guns, it looks a lot like you're soliciting them for sex. The list is too long. I am so awkward. One time I remember is when I was hanging out with some friends. They were in a death metal band and they were talking about an upcoming gig at a big festival. One of them said, I want people to scream the lyrics. You should learn the lyrics to some of our songs. I replied with, do you know how long it's been since I have been on stage? Another band member said, you? Who do you think you are? We were talking about the crowd singing. Oops. TBH, if that guy was so passive aggressive towards you, he was probably an ass. It could be played off as a joke, but that was a willy move by him. I wanted to impress this 18-year-old boy who I had a crush on. He was a big stoner and invited me to a concert with him and his other friend. When we get there, he asks if I want to try pot. I say okay because I'm 14 and I think I'm in love with him, but I don't really know what pot is at the time. So I smoke it and I begin to freak out. I think I'm allergic to the weed and the loudness of the heavy metal concert we were at wasn't helping. I started freaking out and crying and hanging on to the guy who I liked. He brought it up literally every day of the summer after that. That's really not very nice of him, though. I once hung out with a group of stoners for New Year's when I was 18 or so. Didn't even smoke anything myself, but all the secondhand smoke, winter, closed rooms, got to me. I had a major freak out about the fireworks, so they calmed me down, brought me back to their house and made sure I went to bed. Never mentioned it since. You have been visited by the smiley doggo. You will have happiness in your future, but only if you comment nice smile. Papa, I hope you enjoyed the very cool video. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.